Namaste, everybody. So, that last video, sharing with you my extraordinary revelation to find out that I am Mary of Bethany from the Bible. And also, Jesus' second wife, was a nerve-wracking video to have to shoot. He's asked me to continue to share more about my life as Mary of Bethany and my life with him, with you. He's also asked me to tell you more about why I was asked to share that very first video. I tried to cram in a whole bunch of stuff in a very limited amount of time. So, because of that, he's asked me to continue to share more of my story with him, with you. Jesus asked me today to tell you, when he asked me to make that video and announce it in video outside of just the announcement on the website, he came to me and he showed me and asked me to share with you the reality that Mary of Bethany was so much more than an apostle to Jesus. She became first his girlfriend, and then his wife, his second wife. When he asked me to do the video, he really wanted me to focus on the reality that Mary of Bethany and Jesus were partners. They were special, intimate, romantic, involved, marital, husband and wife partners. He wanted me to explain to you the intimate relationship that they had. There's a lot of reasons for that. Today I'm going to talk about some of those. So in case you can't tell how uncomfortable I was with that first video, because this is very nerve-wracking, because I'm fully aware that there's going to be so many people that can't get their heads around reincarnation, that also can't get their heads around that Jesus did have a wife, that they can't get their heads around that he actually had more than one wife. And it has been my mission when I incarnated here, and they showed it to me, to speak up on this on behalf of those wives, including me, for his sake. If you go to my website and you read the very long section about Mary Bethany, which, by the way, I had no plans or intention of writing, once I finally surrendered to God and Jesus' will and began the writing process and taking out all of my notes and sitting down and finally doing it for them, the channelings didn't stop for 4 months. They had me in a channeling state. I call it full time, like 24/7. All day, all night, in the middle of the night, which is why it became so long. They wanted me to disclose so much more than I ever had planned to share. He wants you to know the level of details that we have shown on the website, and that apparently I am being asked to share here on video for several reasons. One, God and Jesus told me that it was important to them to help give people here on earth who wish to continue to learn from Jesus, to give them the opportunity to know that they can continue to learn from Jesus through me, through somebody who was in a close personal relationship with Jesus, Mary Bethany, when he was on earth. God and Jesus, when they were trying to break down my walls of fear and get me to surrender and open up more and share more with the world about who I am in writing and share the gifts of enlightenment, the gifts of clarity that they gave to me about who I am, said to me multiple times at the end, "We wish for you to tell your story that we've given you, to give people here on earth the opportunity to get to know Jesus better through you, through your experiences that you had with Jesus when you were Mary of Bethany, and that you still get to have today in your current incarnation, and also all of the visions and enlightenment that we've shown you that you get to have when you're in heaven with him in between any incarnations." That was when I finally surrendered to their will and submitted and opened up more. If you go to the pages on my website, Jesus wanted me to help you understand, like what he told me. He said, look at it like when you have a wife or a husband, you trust them more, you confide in them more. The reason he wants you to know that Mary Bethany was a beloved, that's one of his most commonly used phrases, and betrothed is his other one he'll use with me. The reason it's so important that he wanted people to know that Mary Bethany was one of his beloveds is because he trusted her to that level of choosing to embrace her at the level of a wife, which means also he chooses to give her, me, the messages, the teachings to pass on to you here on earth, like he did when I was on earth, when he was on earth. I also need to make a little bit of an adjustment here. In the last video, when I said I had to wait 8 years to find out who I was, when they started giving me the visions, showing me in a close, personal, intimate relationship with Jesus, it was 8 years from beginning until the final revelation was given to me this last February 2023. When he asked me to read the Bible, it was actually at the 5-year mark. The reason 5-year mark didn't even come into my radar in the last video, and he showed me this, is because the entire time during that 8-year process, he was showing me as Mary Bethany and keeping it from me. When he asked me to read the Bible, it was that last 5 years of that 8-year process. He wanted me to focus on, even outside of when he asked me to read the Bible, to find out who we are. The biggest message he wanted me to send was I had to work and earn what God calls the gift of clarity for 8 years to be allowed this revelation. When they gave me this revelation, they means God and Jesus. I breezed by that part really fast in the last video just to get the announcement over with because I was so nervous. The reality is it was an extraordinarily long, involved, and emotional ceremony that they put me through. Again, it's on the website, so you can read about it in detail there. All I remember right now is they woke me up in the middle of the night. They lifted my soul up out of my body. After they announced themselves, after I saw Jesus clearly, I heard God. I saw God in the form that he came through, which may have been the rainbow surrounding me in his rays of white light. It was actually given to me very slowly in a way to get me to not shut down. There was a lot of pauses in between every word and every sentence, and there were visions that went right along with it. It was really overwhelming and very powerful. I also felt a complete circle of my other guides and angels holding me, but also holding me down, because it was so powerful. It was not given to me casually or quick or simple. It was an extraordinary experience. In the last video, I knew I didn't make it justice. So in this one, I want to help you understand, to even being given that kind of revelation was given to me in an extraordinary way. When I mentioned I received messages, more messages, showing me that I married Bethany for 2 months after, let me correct myself. I received 2 months of very advanced messages. I was put in an intensive advanced state of receiving Mary Bethany messages all day, all long for 2 months, so that I couldn't deny it and I couldn't push it away because I was trying to. The reality is, because it was so overwhelming, I was trying to push it away. I was trying to deny it. I knew that they would want me to talk about it and have the courage to say it. So right away I started to shut down, because I know how many atheists are out there. I know how many people will react in a way that could cause them to mock me or ridicule me. So as a protective measure from any kind of defamation, I wanted to protect myself. So I started to just shut down and just kind of wall it off. That was the reality. They weren't having it. They weren't having it to the point of I actually was beginning to upset Jesus. And when he came to me one time, and I could feel his feelings, that I had made him very sad, that I wasn't receiving my gift of clarity, of being allowed this revelation as graciously as what he was hoping and thinking I would, and that it was making him hurt. That was when I shifted. I also shifted when he came to me at that time and he filled me with the feeling of being in love with me, not just love for me, the feeling of in love with me again. And that was when I finally surrendered. And I went, okay, I will not deny Jesus, because that feeling, all of a sudden, my memory bank opened up and I remembered feeling that feeling for him many, 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 many years ago. And all of a sudden, the memory started to come back. And that was when I literally, it was a game changer for me. The reality is, when they put me through all of the many months of what God calls giving me the gifts of clarity, which is taking away my amnesia and helping me remember what they were showing me when they were showing me with Jesus on earth, with him by his side in a committed relationship at Mount Olive, when they took him away from me and he was right by my side. And the other apostles were right here also. When they hung him on the cross and I had to stand at his feet and do nothing but helplessly cry and weep and feel nothing except devastating pain and loss and heartache like you cannot imagine. When they put me through all of these moments, what was happening was I wasn't just watching the visions like a bystander. They took the amnesia away from me, which means they were activating the memories in my soul. And all of a sudden, the memories started to come back. And as I'm watching their movies, all of a sudden, the feelings came back that I had at those specific times when I was with Jesus during the kidnapping on Mount Olive, during when he kidnapped and I threw rocks at the Roman soldiers out of pure rage, when he was crucified, crying in heartache, sitting at the Last Supper, feeling desolate. The happier times before that, I was so overwhelmed when all of a sudden the feelings associated with all these memories started coming back. I would lay there in bed and I would either be feeling happiness if it was a happy experience I had to relive, or I would be weeping if they were making me relive a painful experience. Basically, when they showed me and my life when I was married Bethany, they were reactivating everything in my soul, and I had to feel everything I had already felt and also had recovered from. It was so overwhelming that for several months I shut down from people here on earth and I pulled away from basically all humans, and I just lived in a more connected state with Jesus and Kuan Yin and God and Mary and Buddha and the rest of my guides and angels, in order to be able to really receive the gift and to also be able to feel those experiences again, recover from them again, and embrace it all. It was not actually an easy experience at all. I basically invested my time and energy into doing all of that writing, is what helped me heal and cope. Now, mind you, when I say heal, it also has to do with how I was executed at the end. That was very painful, horrifically painful. But I'm not going to talk about that part today, because he wants me to talk about another aspect to why he's required me, and God has required me, to speak up on who I truly am. When Jesus and God brought this enlightenment to me, and Jesus showed me that I'm his second wife, and that Mary Magdalene is his first wife, and that he actually has a third wife, and I have seen her. He's brought me her a couple times. I don't have her name yet. The reality is, most all men back in the biblical times had multiple wives. It was the standard way of living. He showed me how his marriages happened at different stages in his adult life. And they happened in large part because it was the tradition, and then secondly, because he traveled so much. He was not able to live in one place at one time. And then thirdly, like what God told me, God blessed him with several special soulmates in the form of true wives who were the only ones that were able to give him the kind of comfort and care that a wife can give to him to help him cope with and to comfort him during his most challenging days, which were leading up to his crucifixion. Go to my website, read God's message. It's extraordinarily eye-opening. The wives, Jesus' wives, were gifts for him to help give him comfort during a horrifically challenging period in his life that no other apostle could give to him. No other male apostles could give to him. Jesus wants me to speak up, not just for Mary of Bethany and who I was back then, but with my story, he's asked me to speak up on behalf of all of his female apostles, especially his wives. His wives, his 3 wives, were the ones that gave their lives for him. He showed me, in addition to his wives though, there's also several other female apostles that did also give their wives for him. Just like the male apostles that went on to speak Jesus' names and carry his teachings on for him on earth after he was crucified. There is a small group of female apostles, Mary Magdalene, Mary Bethany, the 3rd wife, who I can tell you has blonde hair and brown eyes, I don't have her name yet, and then he said several other female apostles. Several to me means 3 to 4. Several female apostles also spoke his name, carried his teachings on, and it cost them their lives, and they put their lives on the line and sacrificed their lives for him. One of the other main reasons that Jesus has asked me to talk about who I am, not just Mary of Bethany, but Mary of Bethany as his 2nd wife, is because his female apostles and how they gave their lives for Jesus just like the male apostles did were completely left out of the Bible. Jesus is sad. Jesus is upset that that ever happened. He told me that his female apostles gave him the same level of respect, commitment, loyalty, and dedication that his male apostles did, who laid down their lives for him, but that they were not recognized in the Bible. And for that, he wants it corrected. He said that was one of my missions that I agreed to do for him when I incarnated here. So I'm beginning to do it for him. He told me that the reason the female apostles were not mentioned in the Bible and that they were purposely left out all came down to jealousy and competition from the male apostles. That they intentionally left his beloved female apostles out of the Bible, and that has upset him this entire time. He wants the world to know he did have personal relationships. He does have many, many, many missing years in the Bible, and the majority of those missing years involves him having personal relationships with his wives that the male apostles purposely left out due to jealousy and not wanting the attention brought to his wives, who were in a lot of ways closer to Jesus on a lot of levels, and instead wanted to swing the attention back onto them. Jesus said he wants his female apostles that gave their lives for him to have the same level of respect that his male apostles did. I can tell you that Mary Magdalene, Mary Bethany, and the third wife, I saw all of them be executed. And tortured before they were executed. And they suffered the same brutality. And in some ways they suffered a lot more than the males did. And I'll wait for another video on that. He's telling me right now he wants recognition brought to them for what they did to help him while he was here on earth, and what they did to help him after he left earth. Because they were not included in the Bible, and they were not included in the Bible for nothing more than a misdeed of jealousy. All three are saints: Mary Magdalene, Mary Bethany, and the third wife, and also these other female apostles. Jesus wants me to help you understand also, because there's going to be a bias, a misperception that people think Jesus was supposed to be celibate, like a priest. Jesus is a high priest, but Jesus was not a traditional priest who made a vow of celibacy when he was here on earth. God and Jesus both explained to me that Jesus is actually a true living God and a high priest who incarnated as a human man. He was actually a God in the incarnation of a man who chose to live life on earth, they said, to its fullest potential, which means in all the different vibrations and experiences that a male lives life on earth. Jesus wanted me to explain to you that his mission in living life on earth, not as a celibate priest, but as a man fully embracing all of the different aspects that a man lives life on earth as, was so that when he governs from his throne in heaven, he is completely knowledgeable and aware of all of the feelings and the challenges of all of the experiences that man on earth goes through. So he knows everything involved in relationships. He knows everything involved in all of the challenges of living life on earth. He knows everything involved in how difficult and also how joyful life is for mankind, because he lived his incarnation as a traditional man on earth, embracing all of the different roles, not one who was secluded behind the walls of a monastery. This enables him to be able to better guide you, because he's been able to already have lived and understood the dynamics of personal relationships. He's giving me a couple of visions right now he wants me to share with you. Even though it was 5 years from when I read the Bible before they gave me the extraordinary experience, which was a very long, involved experience, revealing that I married Bethany, it was 8 years total when they first started giving me all the visions and insights, showing me that I was a close, personal friend to Jesus when he was on earth and I was on earth at the same time with him. In one of the visions, in the very beginning, he showed me 19 bride. I had no clue what that meant. After the Mary of Bethany revelation, he explained to me I became his bride when I was 19. He was 25. Recently, 2 weeks ago maybe, he gave me this beautiful vision of him and me. And I looked definitely 19 and he definitely looked 25. His hair was shorter and kind of like wavy like this. It was not dark like what a lot of the Bible movies show him as. We were very young. We were in our 20s. He showed me this one this afternoon that he wanted me to share. When he was locked up in jail, they put him in a basement level prison cell, which makes it impossible to be able to escape. He showed me that, he said, when I was in jail, this is what you did. And he showed me crouching on the street outside his jail cell. And there's this tiny window that had bars. And I looked just like me. Hair's a lot longer. I'm in my early 20s. And I had a white, like ivory kind of cloak and dress on. He said you would come and you would sneak me food and water because they were starving me and dehydrating me. And I saw him chained, laying on a cot on the floor in a jail cell, pretty much naked and withering away, extraordinarily thin, shockingly thin. And I was crying as I'm kneeling outside of his jail cell. And I was trying to hurry before I got caught. And I'm trying to sneak in, hiding the food in my cloak and water. And he told me, and he's actually said this to me so many times, I've actually lost count. He said, not only did you come in and feed me and give me water, when so many people turned their backs on me and left me, and give me food and water so I wouldn't die, but you never betrayed me. You never lied to me. You never left me. You also never doubted me. And he filled me with so much love and so much gratitude. And I remember just going, wow. Oh my gosh. And then he explained to me later on that day, he said, no matter what happened, you never doubted me. You never betrayed me. You never lied to me. You never left me. You were always committed to me. You always loved me. You were always faithful to me, no matter what odds you were up against. You never deviated from me. And he said, for that, it has earned you more privileges than what you can even comprehend. And I was like, wow. I had no idea. And then he explained to me that when he was on earth, people had a choice to believe him or to doubt him. And that I, along with his apostles, didn't doubt him. We believed in him. And that there was a few of us apostles that never ever doubted him. Some doubted him, but still stayed. Because I didn't doubt him. Also because we fell in love. Is why he chose me to be his wife and his chief principal oracle. He wanted me to help you understand how important it is to him that people do believe in him. It is only by believing in him that you'll be able to receive his gifts. Jesus told me, and he showed me how we met. He was friends with my brother Lazarus, and he would come to our house. He said, I started coming to your house because of your brother Lazarus. And then, after I met you, I started coming to your house just for you. We met through my brother Lazarus. We became friends. And then after a period of time, we became more than friends. We became boyfriend and girlfriend. And that is why Jesus was at Bethany's house as often as he was. And he wants me to tell the truth and to tell people that's why it's in the Bible that he's at Bethany and Lazarus' house so much. The truth is he was at their house so much because Bethany was his girlfriend. But they refused to put that in the Bible. And then at some point, when we became a little bit older, then we turned from boyfriend and girlfriend to husband and wife when he chose to marry me. He wants the truth to be told, since so much of this is not in the Bible. I'm going to end it on this. There's so many more experiences he wants me to share as far as his wives go. He wants you to think they were separate marriages at separate times in his life, all under separate households. As far as his female apostles go, he's hoping that you learn through my story that they gave everything that the male apostles gave, but they were left out of the Bible. And as a tribute to them and on behalf of all that they sacrificed in order to carry on his missions and to support Christ, Jesus has asked that I spend the rest of my life speaking up for them and helping enlighten the world about their contributions, as well as also helping bring Jesus back here to earth so that you can continue to learn from Christ today, knowing that he was once here. He did walk on earth. He was God's holy Son who did give his life in order to save and rescue you from sins and mistakes so that you could have a better afterlife in his heavenly kingdom of paradise, as well as also rescuing you from those mistakes so that you could have better experiences while you are here in your incarnation. His teachings are still yours to have. It's your choice whether you want to embrace them or not. He has just asked me to use a whole lot of courage and bravery to say the truth of who I am and give you that opportunity so that you have the chance to know Jesus better, so that you can have a better place in your afterlife as well as your incarnation here on earth. This is Oracle Maureen, Mary Bethany, on behalf of Jesus Christ, your Lord and Savior. Until next time, blessings and namaste to you.